Hello, my name is Michael Feltovic, and this is a Tufts presentation on applying cultural considerations to face mask design for children with sensory processing disorder. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused widespread disruption to public and private life in the United States. Every U.S. state and territory has experienced significant impacts to public health and safety, with some states experiencing deaths in the thousands. Much of the national health response to this virus has required significant public initiative, cooperation, and collective participation at the community level to reduce infection. Health practices such as social distancing, hand washing, and face mask use have been widely employed and in some places legally mandated. As of July 30th, face masks are legally required when in public in 33 states across the country. In the remaining 17 states that don't require face mask use in public, all of them are home to some businesses that require face mask use in commercial spaces like grocery stores. Perhaps no individual group has a greater challenge with face mask use than children with special needs, particularly children with sensory processing disorder, known as SPD. SPD is an often debilitating condition where children and adults experience extreme reactivity to tactile, auditory, or visual stimulation. Tactile triggers that torment children with SPD include tags in shirts, woolly sweaters, socks, or even an accidental shoulder brush. The requirement for this cultural group to wear face masks that come in close contact with a child's skin is a major challenge in which no good solution currently exists. My design challenge is to design a face mask that works for kids with SPD. For this project, I utilized the following three tools to guide my research, design, and prototype development. I'll break each one down. The first tool is Hofstede's six-dimension model of national culture. Here, Hofstede identified 6 dimensions of culture, which represent the particular preferences of a country. Each dimension is expressed on a scale between 0 and 100. The model can currently compare the cultural values of 76 countries. Here is a side-by-side national cultural comparison between the US and Thailand. Note the large difference in individualism between the two countries, which can likely be explained by the high degree of collectivism in Thailand, where loyalty to group is paramount. In the US, by contrast, the beliefs of liberty and justice for all and equal rights clearly supports a high degree of national individualism. We can apply the cultural dimensions that Hofstede identified and see where the values of the SPD culture stand. I identified the following 3 dimensions that stand out due to their high or low scores. For the SPD group in particular, individualism is high because families are often self-reliant and often look after their own family members as opposed to relying on inpatient care like in a hospital. Masculinity is scored low because their effort to improve quality of life often outweighs the drive to be the best or the richest in a capitalist sense. Indulgence is often low as well due to their desire to identify remedies and techniques to control the physiological impulses associated with SPD. These cultural dimensions will be useful in my later research. My next design tool is a culture-oriented tool, which focuses on gathering qualitative data from storytelling and narrative to help see through the eyes of people that are being studied. This is an interesting tool, which makes strong use of codifying the cultural values found in stories and folktales to help guide design solutions. At first, I struggled to find a way to access the stories of people suffering from SPD, but I made a huge breakthrough with the SPD support group on Facebook. This support group has over 100,000 members and is a living, breathing database and story of how people cope with their SPD. I mined the group's posts and responses for stories relating to kids coping with face mask use. And with some simple codification, I learned about what some of the challenges the group faces. Issues like face mask breathability, fabric material, and colors really matter to people. With these stories in mind, I made a 6-question survey about face mask use by kids with SPD and posted it to the support group. My questions mostly related to what worked and what didn't work for people, and I gave plenty of opportunity for people to provide narrative and responses. The results provided me with excellent data to design a prototype, but the narrative and stories I gathered proved to be quite valuable, helping me realize how important images and colors are to kids with SPD when it comes to face masks. For kids with SPD, images and pictures provide important connection to the things in their life. This finding could not go overlooked. My last design tool is a 5-stage participatory design model. The model utilizes participation in early concept development and refinement stages to achieve well-designed prototypes. By applying Hofstede's earlier cultural dimensions like individualism to this participatory model, it was clear that not only should SPD users participate in the initial prototype design, but each prototype should be customized to individual participants. Based on my survey results, the best way I could do this was to give participants the option to choose a favorite image or theme to be put on their prototype, so kids could build a connection to their mask. I plan to use a Cricut vinyl cutter in this picture here to make the images out of vinyl and then use an iron to iron them onto the front of the mask. I found 4 ideal fabrics at a local fabric store for the prototypes. These fabrics were all very breathable and soft, and participants could choose which one they wanted. I used a Singer sewing machine to make the first few prototypes, and then a local face mask producer to make the rest of the batch for me. Here's a few examples of some of the custom prototypes that I made for people based on their specific requests. The space theme was really popular. 10 individual families from the US and Canada with SPD agreed to participate in my user testing, and I mailed each of them their customized prototype in the mail. After using the mask for about a day, they were asked to complete my feedback survey. Only 6 subjects ultimately finished the survey, which rated the mask on several performance dimensions like breathability and fabric sensation, for example. Overall, the user testing provided mixed data ranging from really positive to really negative. For some users, the prototype did well on many performance dimensions, but for others, it just did not. I also received great suggestions for improvement from all 6 users as well. One thing that likely contributed to some of the poor feedback was related to the design of some of the prototypes. My local business installed a cotton liner in the inside of some of the masks, which likely reduced breathability for some users and was probably too abrasive for some of the others. This was a mistake on my part, as I should have been more directive on what I wanted from the start with them. As mentioned, users gave me valuable recommendations for future prototypes too. Namely, the cotton inserts need to be removed. We should probably explore other mask types like solid ones and ones with breathing ports. This project was a pleasure to work on, and I can take away some good experience in dealing with cultural sensitivity. Design tools are usually never perfect, and we really need to adjust models for cultural realities if we want to make the best designs or find the best solutions. Thanks for watching.